as it might otherwise do. So again, I think if we can encourage in all of the above energy policy, then different segments of the energy picture can fill in at different times and satisfy our overall need. I thought while my friend was speaking on that topic, I would just mention that interesting lesson that we've learned here recently in Texas.
One-time stimulus checks will be automatically sent out to eligible Americans, and over the next few weeks, many people can expect to receive a bonus relief payment. Billions of dollars in stimulus funding has been set aside for these new checks, everybody, and now some Florida families are set to receive checks of $450 per child to offset the impact of surging inflation and help them afford supplies for the upcoming school year. According to state officials now, about 59,000 families will get the checks, which are one-time payments, and the payments will be funded to $35.5 million in a budget, which the state said would have reverted to the federal government if the awards had not been made. The checks should arrive before Florida's back-to-school sales tax holiday between July 25th and later this year. Some states are also providing tax rebates and other payments to families in order to offset the hottest inflation in 40 years, which has raised the cost of everything from gas to groceries. Now, according to state officials, Florida residents don't need to apply for the $450 check, which have been mailed directly to the recipients. The check should arrive in the next few days. At the same time, $450 is far from enough of rising inflation, with one analyst estimating that families are spending about $2,000 more on gas this year due to higher prices. Other states are also directing payments to families to help offset the cost of inflation. California is directing inflation relief checks of up to $1,000 to 23 million residents after its governor signed a $300 billion budget that includes funding for the payments. California drivers face the highest fuel costs in the United States, with the average price for a gallon of gas in the state at $5.80. Now, California is also demanding that thousands of tenants and landlords who were approved for emergency rental assistance during the crisis return the money. The California Department of Housing and Community Development has sent recapture emails to about 5,400 tenants and landlords who received crisis rent relief funds. California's Emergency Rental Assistance Program has sent more than $4 billion to about 344,000 households since March of 2021. Now, every week is a tough week for the White House right now, and actually, President Biden, everybody, faces a new moment of truth this week about an economy that is stuck in an ongoing crisis.
Mr. President, last night the Senate moved forward on the CHIPS Act. As colleagues have heard me talk about this before, this was actually filed in 2020. Senator Warner, the senior senator from Virginia, a Democrat, and I, a Republican from Texas, introduced this bill more than 2 years ago. The main concern was that our supply of microcircuits that run everything from our cell phones to our laptop to F-35 Joint Strike Fighters, we depended on a vulnerable supply chain from Asia for those advanced semiconductors. The United States produces 0% of the advanced semiconductors we need here in America. And anybody who has tried to buy a car lately, or even a washing machine or a laptop or a desktop computer, knows that the supply chains of semiconductors and thus these products are severely constrained because our economy has taken off post-COVID-19, but the supply chains can't keep up with them, and particularly the supply of these semiconductors. So that's why this bill is so important. Over the last several days, I've worked with colleagues on both sides of the aisle to craft a dramatically slimmed down version of the competitiveness bill we passed here in the Senate last summer. The final text of the bill was not released before the procedural vote last night, which was the point of frustration for a number of colleagues, and I can certainly understand. Here they are asked to vote on a procedural vehicle to get on this bill, and they don't know exactly what the bill is going to look like. And that was the reason some of them decided to vote no against the motion to proceed. I completely understand that. But our colleagues will have time to review this bill in the coming days, and I hope that support for this legislation will continue to grow. After all, it's a matter of our economic and national security. The global semiconductor shortage has claimed a lot of attention over the last couple of years because of the impact it's had on consumers. But these aren't existential threats. These are inconveniences because of these constrained supply chains. If, for example, there was another pandemic or a natural disaster, or if, heaven forbid, the People's Republic of China decided to forcibly unify with Taiwan, this could potentially block access to all of the advanced semiconductors that we need in America. And this would be a dramatic negative effect. First of all, it would create almost instantaneously a recession here in America. Thousands of people would be put out of work. But what I want to focus on is the national security consequences. When we send our troops on any mission by air, land, sea, or cyber, we need the very best equipment and technology available. And now more than ever, this technology cannot function without semiconductors, without these chips. Just one example is look at the Javelin missiles that we're sending over to Ukraine to defeat the Russian Federation invasion. Each one of these Javelin missiles that the Ukrainian...
Today, we've come a step closer to making that America real. Today, too often, we confuse noise with substance. Too often, we confuse setbacks with defeat. Too often, we hand the biggest microphones to the critics and the cynics who delight in declaring failure, while those committed to making real progress do the hard work of governing. Making progress in this country as big and complicated as ours clearly is not easy.
To be eligible to receive the stimulus card benefits, you must be a Chicago resident and have a valid city sticker for your vehicle. Now, data provided by the City of Chicago suggests that the median household income for a family of four is $93,000. According to local Chicago news stations, 75% of these cards will prioritize residents in community areas that have higher mobility hardship, while the remaining 25% will be distributed citywide. Now, costly gasoline prices could hamper the United States' economic recovery if it continues. So central is the price of fuel to the household budgets for millions of people. However, with an influence of factors sparking the recent price increase, a quick remedy seems unlikely. Inflation rates have been increasing sharply since August 2021 and have been out of the normal 2 to 4% range for a full year. The Consumer Price Index rose 8.5% for the year ending in March. And now, Jerome Powell said last week, it is our job to make sure that inflation of that unpleasant high nature doesn't get entrenched in the economy. This was after he announced a half-point interest rate hike to combat inflation. Still, people are struggling with rising costs, everywhere from the grocery store to the gas pump. Keeping prices stable is part of the Fed's mandate, but so far inflation has kept